If I was your boyfriend, I never let you go. Tell me what you want, girl.
My white boy bops.
Never leave you alone. And I can be a gentleman anytime you want. All right. Hey, welcome to the Blackout Tips Podcast. I'm your host, Rod. Joined as always by my wife,
Karen.
we're live on a Saturday morning.
Am I getting called out for a reason?
No.
Okay.
I just thought it'd be funny. On a Saturday morning, ready to do some podcasting. You keep a name out of your fucking mouth. Ready to do some podcasting. It's a feedback episode. We only did 3 episodes this week, so maybe it won't be that long, or who knows? You niggas love your Game of Thrones comments, so
y'all love to let us know how you feel.
I guess we'll see together, won't we?
We'll all find out when we're finished and edit.
The official weapon of the show is
the taser.
An unofficial sport.
Bullet
Ball Extreme, and y'all know all the contact info is in the show notes. That's how you leave feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna read those comments. We're gonna play all the voicemails. We're gonna read the emails. We're gonna read the stuff on YouTube. It's gonna be a real workout for me and my voice, because that's what we do here.
Yes, sir.
But the first people we want to shout out are the people that turned around and gave us some money.
The most important people, the donators.
May I have your attention? You are now listening to Charlotte's Own, Rod and Karen. We welcome the good folks who tithe to the Black Diamond Tips.
New day, new pay. Let's talk about it. Laura E., Nicholas Z., Bomani Jones, Rita May C., Noel W., Renate M., Miss Barnes, Pete B., Douglas R., David from Brooklyn, Ricky A., Pretty Ricky what they call him, Johanna M., Cavis D., Laura F., Chris from Hawaii, Corey DeTickler, Tabitha, Brianna, April G., and Alexis H. And that's everybody that took the time out to give us money, and we so appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, let's talk about the people that left us 5-star reviews. We love some 5-star reviews. Okay, that's our favorite thing, and we did get some new ones this week.
I like 5-star reviews.
Now, one of them is for This Too Much.
We'll take it.
But yeah, we'll take it. So 5-star review for This Too Much. I'll make sure to read this on Tuesday with Bossy Origin. So y'all started recapping after the episode when Brian Tyree appeared in This Is Us, the episode when he was a blues musician from Memphis. And since then, we've been knee deep in Atlanta goodness and haven't looked back at this Sterling tears, and I for one ain't mad. Thank you. That's AJ Gammon. Then the 5-star we got for the Blackout Tips podcast, this show, easily my favorite podcast, from the real Don Javis. Been listening for a few years now, and this is by far my favorite podcast I listen to. I don't even use Apple Podcasts, but I had to come on here just to say how much I love listening to Rod and Karen talk about anything and everything. Thank you.
Thank you for taking that extra effort.
It means a lot to us, because I know there's a lot of y'all that listen and don't listen to Apple,
right?
And so you haven't left us a 5-star review. So anytime, but that doesn't mean you can't. You can go create
an account
and leave us a 5-star review, and we appreciate you to take the effort and go above and beyond to do that.
We do. You don't even have to have any Apple devices. So for those of you go like, I won't leave them a review, but I don't fuck with Apple, or I don't have Apple products, just make an account and you can leave us a 5-star
and
review.
One more thing I want to say too, if you leave a 5-star review anywhere over the world, we can read it. So if you're international listening, you're like, well, they'll never see it. Yes, we will. Just go ahead and submit that 5-star review, and we love reading from people all around the globe. Our podcast is international. I see the stats. Okay,
international, baby.
I see the numbers. I know what y'all up to. I know what y'all doing. I know how y'all get down. All right, let's talk about the comments on the episodes on our page. But first, let's play one of these beats for the transition. Yeah. Musical cues. Okay.
Oh,
Shout out to my man
shit,
Ahmad.
musical cues.
You sent us all these beats, and I said, "Damn it, if I ain't gonna use them."
We sure are.
Okay.
We gonna exercise them shits.
Infrared crypto. Thank you. So we got comments on episode 2618. Love us and lie to us. That was our 5-star review policy. We don't need all this critical thinking.
Don't care about it.
5 comments. Apia says, "Great show as always. I enjoy listening to the live feedback show a lot. Today I was even on time. As I said, great show, but your views on Celsius and Fahrenheit are just sad. But I'm here to help you. My first strategy today didn't work out. Unfortunately, I Googled, was Fahrenheit racist, and got no results. So he was probably just regular racist for his time, nothing extra. But I learned something new. Fahrenheit was a German scientist who was born in Poland. Do you know who else has this life experience? Your friend Apia. So he is my people. My judgment should count more here. Like your judgment of Kanye seems more legit than mine. And I say, Lieber Fahrenheit, no. Well, that's the thing I'm saying. Like, to me, you are the Kanye of Poland, German people. Like, why would you sell out your own people like this? I'm trying to finally on this show for the first time ever, trying to give Germany some damn props, and here you go getting in the way, trying to bring in this Celsius bullshit. Celsius is probably racist. That's why you didn't Google him and put him in.
Mr. Celsius.
Yeah. She also said politics. If I had to vote for one of 4 people on the list without further information, and it was a black man, black woman, white man, white woman, I would vote for the black woman. The probability of her being insane and entitled is the least, in my opinion. It's not 0, but the best bet.
I agree. She might not be all 100% crazy, but it's a lower persistence. She's gonna have more common sense than the rest of the group. I
said it before. Joe Biden is better in presidenting. I made that word up than I expected. It's annoying that when he does something good, people are like, "Why didn't he do more?"
Right?
Yeah, it's annoying, but it's his superpower, and I'm hoping that that I mean, I'm not even hoping. I know that a lot of black people down south that are you weird feedback.
Too? Yes, I am too.
Okay, yes. I don't know what that is. Hold on. 1 2 1 2. Mike, it's gone.
It's gone.
What the fuck was that?
I don't know.
Is that gonna be on a recording?
I don't know.
Mic check. All right, it's gone. Yeah. All right, let's just keep going like it's not crazy. All right,
it might not even pick up.
Fuck. Once he does something, it becomes normal, and I'm hoping that black voters in the South, knowing that his old white manness would persevere.
It's like Teflon.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we were right. I know we were right so far, in that there's been things that, if this would have been a black woman, if this would have been a black man, if this would have been anybody but an old white man, people would have probably already turned and soured on the administration in an unrecoverable fashion. And a lot of politicians wouldn't have done the stuff that they would, that they've done so far under Biden to promote some of these bills and laws, and because it's really been about a skin of their teeth type of move for us to pass these laws over here. Right. I can't even imagine what the fuck it would be if it was somebody else, because there's a lot of people who just, Joe Manchin probably wouldn't have worked with a black person.
Right.
So I don't even know what we do here, but I hope we already early voted yesterday, and I hope that in 2 weeks we can look back and be like, it was worth it, because this is one of those times where I really think a lot of people in a lot of parts of this country are voting in the last free election they're going to ever be able to vote in.
Come on, don't fuck around.
And if they fuck this up, like, I don't even know what to tell them.
Don't fuck around.
I'll tell you something from my exciting life. Besides my normal job, I'm an ethics, risk, and compliance expert and trainer in my company for my region. I'm a wild girl. I'm not the one making the rules, but the link between the company and the employees. After we complained a lot, a terrible SOP, standard operating procedure, regulating event. What? That's not a joke. That's what that means.
I know. But you said SOP. I heard SOB. I was like, son of a bitch. My bad. You said P. I was like, oh, my bad.
A terrible SOP regulating event facilities was replaced by a way better one, really better. I did the training and was pretty happy about it. After my training, one of my colleagues, Stefan, who is a doctor of chemistry and smart, complained that it was still bad because he still has to think and fill out the forms. Well, good luck waiting for that to change, Stefan. I'm starting to get mad. I said, and I'm not even facing some election. Who else would do this extra work? Not Stefan, but that's for sure. So I get it, Joe Biden. I feel you. Drew, Dr. Uzo says, hey, Rod and Karen, the feedback shows are always filled with gems, but that Terrence and Phillip reference made me smile as Vaymon lost his top in defense of an uncle fucker. That's all. Love the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim Dropper says, hello, Queen Karen and King Regent Rod. The conversation about politics made me come over here to say my piece. Saying that Dems and Republicans are the same and that you would rather vote for a third party or don't vote at all reminds me of those white folks who said that they were living in a post-racial society when Obama was our president.
Right.
We don't live in a utopian society. Choices are for a society where there isn't a loud contingent hoping to see anyone anti to their belief end up losing all their rights. If folks aren't realizing how close we are to reverting to the 1950s right now, then they surely aren't paying attention. We already have a corrupt SCOTUS standing in the way of progress. At this point, we cannot be rooting for just a dim president, but for a dim House and a dim Senate, dim state legislatures and dim local boards in order to keep the rights that our forefathers fought for in the past decades. This is dire, and we are on the precipice of chaos if we don't stand tougher to stop the Republicans from gaining or regaining any power moving forward in the foreseeable future. Yeah, like we were talking with our guest on what day was that? Tuesday we had a guest, or was that
Tuesday?
Monday? Okay, yeah, Tuesday. Mm-hmm. We were talking with Professor Woolfolk, and she was bringing up how she's an anarchist, and anarchy isn't like chaos. It's like just a different level of order where people are supposed to be equal and stuff. And every time I think about that, it's kind of like socialism and a lot of other theoretical country structures that theoretical in America anyway, where people have sometimes made it work in other countries in good ways and in bad. Every system has its drawbacks,
right?
But it's always like a homogenous society that makes that kind of shit work.
Yes, everybody look alike,
and it just immediately made me think like the biggest obstacle is that white people think they're better than other people,
right?
And as long as that is honestly what the biggest obstacle to even getting our democracy to work, even getting capitalism to work, to be honest, like I'm like, there's other countries that are capitalists that are better than us, like there's an ethics there's a level of like capping on the top of the capitalism where it's like, hey, you can't do but so much. There's countries that are capitalists that go, no, Uber can't be here, and neither can Airbnb.
And fuck Amazon. We don't want you here. Like, we see what you're doing. Basically, we see how you've been destroying these other economies in these other countries. If you come here, it's going to be really, really restrictive because we don't want the other bullshit that, not trying to funny, America and these other countries have allowed y'all to go to do, and then fuck around and you so embedded into the society that we can't kick you out if we want to.
Right. And so there's a lot, so much of the stuff that I see, the way I see it, I'm not saying I'm this is the only way to see it, but the way I see so many things just feels like if motherfuckers had just stopped being racist, a lot of shit could work. Yes. And I think the reason I'm so pragmatic and dogmatic about voting Democrat until there's until I don't think there's another option right now for any right-minded person in America, because we have refused to let any other right-minded option exist. Republicans are never going to be better, and just not voting will just help them. And the fact that we know they're coordinated campaigns that are using demotivation on younger people to keep them from voting, and they're using a lot of like misogyny, homophobia, and patriarchal stuff to keep men from voting of all demographics. And the fact that it's even working on some of these dumbasses is scary enough. I'm not gonna help by going on my podcast and being like, yeah, right, it's kind of like both sides. No, it's not. And I don't even like, I'm so at this point I feel radicalized, but it's such a funny thing to say, because what passes for radical on the internet and what passes for radical in offline are two different things. And I think I'm radicalized in a way of like, I am going to vote. I'm going to vote Democrat. I'm going to encourage people to vote Democrat. And I honestly am so angry. I'm not trying to hear a both sides thing anymore. I think a lot of that is for stupid people or for people that want to feel smart. Like stupid people because they go, actually, I didn't look into any of this shit, and I think the thing that makes me look the smartest is to be like, aren't they all dicks? It's all stupid, right? Like that just makes them feel smart because they don't have to read or know anything in particular. And then there's people that want to feel smart by being like, I'm so heady. It's not like the Democrats don't have their problems too. And I'm like, can we compare the problems for a second? Can we kind of compare the problems? Because I got a feeling that a lot of the problems are going to be shit like, well, the Democrats only raised taxes to 15%, and they only wanted a $15 federal minimum wage, and the Republicans just want slavery. So they both have their issues. And like, right, but you don't see how one of these is less, and how, like, I have a friend who's a person I went to high school with. She's an activist. And when I tell you, under Trump, she was marching, she was doing a bunch of shit. She really was. But when I tell you there was no fucking traction, when I tell you there was nobody listening, people were just like, man, fuck that, fuck you and your marches, police coming out there fucking people up. And now under just Biden, I've watched the resurgence. I've watched this person like from a distance. I've watched this person like really get movement on a lot of stuff dealing with incarcerated people and their right to vote and a bunch of shit, that just wasn't happening under Trump. It just wasn't. And that's just the facts. And I want to live in a world where that shit can happen. And the people that make that possible in my lifetime have been when we had Democrats in office. I'm not against people pushing Democrats or complaining or whatever, as long as it's productive. I'm not against that. I just know that complaining while we have fucking Trump in office ain't work for nobody. Like, you was just mad, and then nothing would happen with your issues, and things would just get worse. I'm hoping that we can get to a place where we can push people, and I think Biden has been a great example of someone you can push, and he needs to have the tools to use them when he's pushed. And what are those tools? The Senate, the House. We need that shit.
Yeah, and like for me, I don't know if it's a getting older thing, but I'm like you. There's some shit that I just don't tolerate anymore. And I'm tired of people just being intellectually lazy and not researching and not investigating and not looking and just doing whatever the internet tells them to do and shit like that. Because I'm like, people actually need to look around and pay attention. But because our society is such in a rush to have all these external things to kind of distract you from the reality, and it's really easy to get sucked up in that shit, sucked up in these pointless arguments, sucked up in these pointless debates, when there's actually no work behind it. There's no bark in your bite. You're just crying and screaming. And this is one reason why the Republicans just do the shit that they do, because they know at the end of the day, you're not going to do shit. You're not going to stop them. You're like this, putting something online and just posting shit without any work means not a motherfucking thing for them. They're not looking for you. You're not that voting populace. A lot of times you just sit inside the house and do absolutely positively nothing at all. And so for me, there's certain things that I just don't tolerate. I don't have time for it, because while people out here playing on the internet, nigga, I'm like, it's life and death out here for people. Like, I vote for the people out there who might not have working 2 or 3 jobs, need help, need food stamps, need assistance, need a lot of the things that I got when I was a child, because these systems was in place. And a lot of people benefited from these things, whether your parents told you or not, whether your parents protected you or not. A lot of people, family members were on these things. And a lot of times these systems are designed to make people feel bad. So some people may have been on, their parents may have been on like some form of government assistance that might not even told them, they might not even know. But these systems benefit people. And I don't want these things stripped away from people.
And Republicans didn't put any of that in place. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's
Right.
not just a this year thing. It's my whole life. It's why I'm just over the quibbling and the arguing over bullshit. The programs that helped you are put in place by Democrats. The things that have made this country a democracy have been put in place by black people and black women specifically that push for democratic politicians and democratic policies. It's just, I'm tired of just pretending like this shit is just even. Like, it doesn't mean I think somebody's perfect. It doesn't mean somebody's not, like, a party doesn't have flaws or there's no work to be done. It's just, those things are straw man arguments and bad faith attacks to try to get us to not vote. I'm never going to be part of it. So, I didn't want to rehash this whole fucking thing, to be honest. Like, dude wrote in and we said what we said, but it's just, there's a reason we don't do that shit on our show. And there's a shit ton of other shows, black and white and all in races, that do that shit. And if you want to, like, contribute to the, like, who gives a, oh, it's just all bad and not, then that's for them, but I don't want to participate in that.
No, I refuse it, and I do not. And I've come to the conclusion too that fighting for rights and fighting for justice means different things. For some people, going online and posting shit, that's their quote unquote form of fighting. But a lot of times results are not made like that. So sometimes, a lot of times, that shit don't actually manifest into the real world. My thing of fighting is voting. My thing is fighting is showing up to the polls. My thing is fighting is reading about how these people voted in the past and should they be reelected. Like, that's my form of fighting. And in my world, you can have both. But it's like people want one without the other, and it doesn't work like that.
We don't have any luxury right now to weighing options and throwing away votes for peacetime. Did you not see how Amon was knocking back Morning Stars in the training yard, and Allison was flaunting her religious values all over the castle, while we've been sitting around Dragonstone for 6 years learning High Valerian, learning the dead language ain't gonna win battles, preparing to show up and show out wins battles. And yes, I'm likening the High Tower fraction to the Republicans and Ray Ray's fractions to the progressives, but I digress. Our political system has cruelly dealt us a two-party system. Yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is. And we have to figure out a way to work with it in this state that is currently in to help us out. Yeah, I've been thinking about this shit too with the two-party system. A lot of this is that simple. And I bet you people in different political systems probably do look at other countries. Like, everyone probably thinks the system they're in could be better looking at some other country.
Right.
And a lot of times this shit hasn't prevented some of these countries with bigger, broader political systems and parties from delving into white supremacy, delving into this, like, hard right politics of grievance. When you think about Boris being elected, when you think about some of the what was it, Italy just had, like, the first, like, fascist elected or something, like, or I guess not first, but you know what I mean? Like, when you think about some of the countries that are moving backwards, and they're like, yeah, we do have 8 political parties, 16 political parties, and it's not helping. I don't know. Sometimes it's that simple. It's a very simple choice. If anything, if it's like, it's down to the two parties, for a fact which one is better. To me, it's just like, that's not something I've ever struggled with at a voting booth where I'm like, I don't know, man, maybe the Republicans got it this time. No, only white people struggle like that, at least from my experience. Our political system is going to, okay, anywho's, apologies for the rant. Politics gets me heated. Thanks for doing what you do and keep up the great work. And lastly, Mary says, let me just refresh and make sure it's okay, cool. Mary says, I bristled about the implication and criticism that Biden isn't doing enough and should be blamed for not fixing things that are completely not within his power jurisdiction, i.e. a state matter. This old white man has low-key been passing the most radical shit that is helping people in real life in practical ways. One example you brought up are the pardons for weed convictions. I spent a few years volunteering at a legal aid clinic, helping people to expunge bullshit convictions on their records like weed and other low-grade stuff like shoplifting. These convictions had prevented these people from having a baseline decent life. One woman who had already spent 15 years in prison needed an expungement to get a job to be a school bus driver. Another woman just wanted to keep custody of her grandchildren, but her past convictions were brought up in family law court. And one person, well, he had a job in housing, but he just wanted his damn dignity back. Having that albatross around your neck weighs on you and your self-worth, and this man just wanted to be clear of his past. Anyway, all this to say, Biden did a good thing and has been and done good things and will undoubtedly do more if it's in his power. Let's go vote. Right. Best Mary. Thanks, Mary. That's all I'm saying. It just seems simple. I don't know why motherfuckers are gonna outsmart themselves, like they're gonna I mean, it's not perfect, so and the thing for me is I'm not even saying that dude who wrote in Law, I think Law sounds like he's gonna go vote, he's gonna vote Democrat, and he's dissatisfied, and that's totally fine. It's just, I think with our platform, it's very fucking important to be intentional about this.
Right.
I am not quibbling. This is not no middling shit. This is not no I guess I will. I did that once on this platform. I regret it to this day.
Never again.
I'll never do that shit again. As far as I guess I'm gonna vote. No, nigga, I will be voting. I'm gonna be voting early.
I'm gonna say it loud. I'm gonna get on everybody's goddamn nerves. You're gonna be like, I wish this bitch would shut up. Well, then you just gonna have to hear what I got to say and hear the words that are coming out of my mouth. And I'm really steadfast on a lot of things. I know people don't be wanting to hear this, but I mean it. If you don't vote, I don't want to hear you goddamn complain. You did not put in on the process, so you're saying whatever happens, and I'll live with it.
Right. All right. The poll: which is better, Fahrenheit or Celsius? Now, this is science, so I know that Appia and Jeff and all the people overseas, they'll respect this because they respect science, right? Science is how we know climate change is real. Science is how we know that flossing works. Don't be that 1 out of 10 dentist that doesn't say flossing works.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Don't be that person.
No, I said it, Karen. Yes, I did. So the poll,
flossing does work.
Which is better, Fahrenheit or Celsius? 69% say Fahrenheit, 30% say Celsius.
69.
Yeah, nice.
Because it's sexy.
On Spotify, where the money resides, even more people, 84% say Fahrenheit, 16% say Celsius. I think scientifically we've proven Fahrenheit is the best, Celsius is the rest. And I think we can just leave it in there. No more fucking emails, no more comments. It's settled. And I think y'all should respect science because that's what matters. We did have comments on the YouTube. Let me read those real quick. N Harmon says, "Hey, my new cousins. Yes, I've adopted you all right, and Karen." Dedrick says, "House of Thrones spoiler alert," and put a minute mark. Hey, Dendrick, this is not a Game of Thrones podcast.
No, it's not.
We don't give a fuck. If you listen to the feedback show, understand this. Motherfuckers are going to write in and it's going to be Game of Thrones feedback. So I would say don't even listen to feedback show if you worried about spoilers, because this is when people leave feedback. And guess what feedback contains? Comments about the things we said on the show. And guess what the things we on the show said complain? Comments about the fucking show that we watched. And guess what that means? It's spoilers. So y'all don't have to get over that one. You wasted a comment. Vote and vote blue this November was our Spotify comment. Miss Barnes voting blue like always. Aaron says definitely, even though I'm in California. Hey, do it anyway. It's still local. And I'll be looking at that California news.
Me too.
Not everybody over there is voting blue. So
it's a lot of red in that long ass state.
Just because it be going blue during the general election and national elections doesn't mean shit locally.
Well, we went with that Wayne Brady airport. They said that's a lot of Republicans out there.
Did you say Wayne Brady Airport?
It's not Wayne Brady. Shit, what's that dude name?
John Wayne?
Yes, Wayne Brady. Lord have mercy. I was way off. They're not in the same skin color. My bad. Well, Wayne Brady does need an airport now. I'm sorry.
Typhlosion
That
says,
was a good tank.
Typhlosion says, I think all this conservative nonsense is the reason the price of pumpkin spice brick has increased 160%. The price of the brick is through the roof. M. Nicole says, yes, sir. Keith says, yes, y'all. We got to keep this energy. Don't let your vote doesn't matter bullshit fool you. If it didn't matter, the Republicans would not be working so hard to restrict the black and brown vote. Yeah, one thing I do find funny is people now saying, because, you know, people use anything for propaganda. And one of the things they say is like, how come Kanye always comes out around voting time and says, you know, starts trying to keep people from voting and telling people make America great again and vote Republican and all this shit. And I'm like, that's not true that it's always around election time, because he's done shit like this in January before and the summer. Let's not use Kanye as an example. Ice Cube and Killer Mike are good examples of motherfuckers that it was during the election that they always start their demotivational shit. You know, Killer Mike goes away for a long time, and then whenever there's a runoff or some shit in Georgia, he comes shaking hands with Brian Kemp. Like, but Kanye, I think, is a lot less of a agent provocateur of any design. It seems to be chaotic in nature. Roger says, no matter who. Chrissy said, Christ says, yes, sir. Hand delivering my ballot this week. White family says, man, all day can't vote any other way. If I voted anything else, I'd be voting against my interests and co-signing January 6th, Herschel Walker, and a lot of other foolishness.
Right.
I.L. Watson says, I guess, but only because Biden made good on his promises of student debt relief and marijuana felonies. I love that. I guess. I guess. Like, what the fuck? Okay, well then go get Herschel Walker. Raphael says, as for me and my house, we vote blue. I want my kids or other kids to have a chance at a better future. GOP don't want that. They want slavery, and I ain't got time to be slavery was a choice. Fuck that. Jane says, absolutely, especially here in Texas. I'm cautiously optimistic, but still don't trust white as some Latino, suburban, and rural MAGA voters ruining it. Yeah, I don't think it'll be black people that ruin it. I don't think it ever has been, and I don't think it ever will be. But we do have power and we should vote. I think it's interesting. I was reading something today that was talking about how Ron DeSantis might even win the county that Miami is in this year, because that's how strong the Latino vote, and of course that mostly being probably Cuban, is with him. And that would be the first time that's ever happened in that state, which is crazy.
All right.
Tiffany says always blue, and MP Bray says yes, vote blue. How could anyone see Nancy Pelosi talking about wanting to punch Trump and question the Democrats' leadership? If we lose these midterms, we likely lose democracy. That's what I'm saying. It's so crazy. I just think
people still hemming and hawing, and you're like, oh, word. Like, what are you gonna do when you literally can't do anything?
I just be thinking they must be doing way better than I think, because I just can't see how I would want to live in a world like that. But it seemed like a lot of people kind of comfortable with the idea, like, you know, we lost, Democrats blew it again, as opposed to like, what the fuck is wrong with our country that we even think the other side is a choice. Episode 2619, the Stitch Please. We talked to Professor Lisa Woolfolk, great guest, and y'all actually left a lot of comments. This is the second time in a row. Last time was JL Covan. 9 comments. Ramsey D. Jenkins says, I'm listening to the show at work this morning. 5 stars. I love all the Black Joy and Dem Dragons insight and information. Where 2 or 3 are gathered is always a good time. Also, shout out to Professor Woolfolk for giving praise to Rod and Karen about how they set the standards and boundaries for how they review them thrones and them dragons. Newsy says, wowee. I sent this episode to my mom because she lives in Charlottesville and she loves to support Black-owned businesses. Between sending laughing emojis, she's sending me audio messages, cussing out the Serling Circle that kicked out the guests. Everyone to my mom is those motherfuckers. That's valid.
I love old Black people. We don't know. We don't give a shit about names. It's them, those people, y'all.
Well, I mean, we didn't get the names of the Serling Circle people, but those motherfuckers is very valid in this point.
Yes, it is.
She says she's gonna send this to everyone she knows, so you might have an influx of Black Guy Tips fans in Charlottesville, Virginia. We'll see, and
thank you.
You know, hopefully she'll be able to track down the Serling Circle and get them.
Get them.
Law says, yo, Rod Care. Professor Wolfert was a great guest, and much of what she said about being the black person in white spaces reminded me of my whole upbringing. I grew up in Southern California. I always had a mixed ethnic demographic of friends from school, my neighborhood, and sports and more. It's a weird feeling to have it suddenly registered that I'm the black friend when it came to white kids. I realized that we're being taught two completely different sets of principles behind closed doors. We didn't share racist jokes in my home. We were Christian and we weren't even allowed to say nigga. But sometimes these white kids have family members telling them racist ass jokes, and they were excited to share them with their black friends at school. They expect us to be just as amused as they are. But the fragility kicks in when you don't laugh. That's when the I'm not racist, it's just a joke, please come flooding in. Yeah, I've dealt with that as an adult, not a kid. I grew up in a like pretty homogenous black neighborhood and school district, but yeah, I as an adult, I definitely had a friend tell me an anecdote about his racist grandfather, and he thought I would be laughing, and I was mortified.
Oh my God,
I was like, what the fuck?
It's funny.
And then he tried to go on and explain to me how like his grandfather was cool. I was like, he sounds like a fucking racist, and that shit's not funny to me. And I think that shit really bothered him, but I didn't give a fuck. It bothered me that you thought that's cute. And the story was like a bullshit. It was like the joke was they were got together for Christmas. He told everybody as a joke, so he thinks it's funny too. Tell my grandfather I got a black girlfriend and that she's coming to Christmas, and he didn't have a black girlfriend, so I guess that's the prank. Haha, black. And the grandfather was so racist, he went and locked himself in the bathroom and refused to come out, and they had to be like, Dylan doesn't really have a black girlfriend, grandpa, he's just joking. He thought this was a funny story to tell me. He thought I would be like, what an adorable story, your old grandfather is fucking racist. So yeah, I definitely can relate on an adult level. Now many of us have to deal with their adult versions at work and other spaces. You have to decide if you're going to check somebody at work or keep a check from work. As far as we've come, we ain't get there yet, I guess. Hope you invite back the good professor. Yeah, we definitely will. She was an awesome guest. Sean says, I'm not going to send a Wikipedia entry today. Just wanted to say I was glad not to see your podcast, as y'all deserve more breaks than you take. Stay healthy. Also, great to hear from fellow denizens of an ivory tower. You have some of the best guests, and thanks for bringing them in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appia says, I can sew okay. I was raised in a working class family where we relied on remaining clothing or changing it because we didn't have that much money. Now this falls under ecological responsible behavior. I repair the clothing of my kids or change small things on my stuff by myself. I know about the BMI being used against people of color, especially, but I also remember when I was a teenager in the 90s, the body that was ideal was the one of Kate Moss, very thin and almost androgynous.
And a lot of times those people are very tall, and you're like, you're almost 6 feet tall, 110, 125 pounds. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think at least in my lifetime, skinny has always been the white ideal. And Kate Moss is only 5'7", by the way. So it's not even just being tall. Like, I just remember a big thing about her just being skinny.
Yeah.
And that being like the appeal. I don't know if she was the one that said nothing feels as good as skinny. Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. I don't remember who that was.
And skinny don't
that was
healthy.
Kate Moss. Kate Moss said nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. So, and then, it became like a joke about how skinny she was because, it sounded like she was kind of starving herself and all this stuff.
And a lot of people do. And a lot of people, even to today, but if you go back and you look at a lot of the older pictures, all jokes aside, of the Supremes and, a lot of these, even with a lot of Motowns, a lot of them had that same thing with them itty bitty waist. Like, their waist would be like a smooth 12 inches around. You'd be like, nobody's supposed to be built like this.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to say nobody, because then it gets into shaming people that are skinny. Like, I think everybody has different types of bodies, and I think we obsess too much over trying to make everybody into one standard size and stuff.
That's
I think
true.
and There's skinny people that have body issues too. I saw something. My girl Tay Tay put out Midnight's the 3 a.m. version last yesterday, and so she got a visual album, and it's really examining like her flaws and insecurities and stuff. And one of a very short clip is her stepping on the scale and looking down and seeing fat. And I saw people online being like, some people, not even, it was really just one person, but who knows how many people retweeted and hyped it up. But it was somebody being like, we don't want to hear that being fat is the worst nightmare for somebody like you. And I was like, shut the fuck up. I am fat. Okay. And there are a lot of people whose body dysmorphia and eating issues and shit stem from the fact that they can't see themselves the way that they are, and they have something in their mind that is constantly dragging them. And just because you look on them on the outside and think they must be doing all right, it's Taylor Swift. Everybody loves Taylor Swift. One of the reasons she might look the way she is because she is like, I'm fat in her mind. That's her battle. You don't get to tell other people what their battles are. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. Your insecurities aren't trying to be politically correct. Your insecurities are often politically incorrect. It's telling you something fucked up that is not okay, or not a message that you would want to receive from anyone else. So I thought that was such a dumb point they were trying to make, but it was just the point of we never know what's going on in these people's heads. But we do know as a society what we hold up as ideals. And a lot of times the ideal is something that is mostly destructive or unattainable for most people anyway.
Yes. And to piggyback on what I was saying, when I was saying nobody's supposed to look like that, the average weight size is not that, in other words. And so
yeah, I know what you're saying. I think everybody knows what you're saying. The only thing I'm pushing back on is just that there are some people that are going to look like that.
Right.
And that's just what their bodies are going to look like. And that's okay. Everybody's just trying to get to a point where they're okay being them. And it's very fucking hard in this society because there's people that we see it all the time. Mm-hmm. There's people who literally their claim to fame is being beautiful. And you look at the pressure society puts on them and we mock them for, why'd you go get that cat face surgery? Why'd you get that BBL? Why'd you get those breast implants? You were beautiful. You were beautiful. We're all pushing towards these people that this level of like vitriol and hate, because what we're really saying is, how can you, a person I idolize and look up to, think you're unattractive? And I say, look around you. Everyone is being pressured to be more perfect, more beautiful.
Yeah, because I have a cousin she's been small. She's had about 4 kids. And literally every time she pops out a baby, she literally goes back to 110 pounds, like almost instantly. So, as far as like being small, and I've always looked at her like, it just amazes me that your body, does those things. But it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, that's just your body. That's just how you're actually built. And I think that that's fine. I think that, like you said, society and the pressures, and particularly men have pressures too about weight and size and things like that. A lot of these operations and surgeries and shit like that are starting to, it's always affected men, but men are starting to invest more money into these things like women, not at the same rate, not at the same pace, but just body image across the board affects everybody.
Mm-hmm. I think all that stuff the men too is like every human being is dealing with something. Anyway, back to this. The body was the body that was the ideal was one of Kate Moss, very thin and almost androgynous. Almost everyone of me, every one of them white. There was, as I stated, only white friends available. I felt they were thin. All my friends basically felt they weren't thin enough, even if everyone was size 6 to 8. Same with myself. Many of them had eating disorder. There was no body acceptance movement yet. Trey says, hey Rod, Karen, and Professor Lisa, this is such a great conversation y'all have with Professor Lisa. It never ceases to amaze me. No matter what the setting, there will always be some fuck shit we black people have to deal with. Lisa's over here just trying to enjoy sewing with her badass color-coded sewing threads in the background, and they won't even let her live.
I mean, she literally if you didn't get to watch it live, if you were like any arts and crafts and was sewing, she literally had the whole fucking Rainbow Coalition of Mary Jo's in her background with all those colors. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I didn't see any Danish cookie tins, but I assumed they was there.
You know they was there. They was in the background. She kicked them underneath the desk.
Kudos to Professor Lisa for handling the situation like a G, but respect to her for taking it in stride. Professor Lisa, I would love to take your Game of Thrones course. It sounds super fun. Thanks for a funny, thought-provoking, sincere conversation. Thanks, y'all, Trey. Miss Barnes says, again, Ryder Carey, you are the best guest. Lisa was a joy to listen to. It has the most gorgeous skin. Mm-hmm. And how did you know that I am mending a pair of my favorite pants? I do so. Mostly to mend holes and keep my real comfy clothes long past the expiration date. Thank you again, Ryder Carey. Appia comes back and says, by the way, in our family, my father is the pro in sewing. 40 years ago, my parents bought a sewing machine and my mother first set on the wrong side. My father said, move over. I tried first, and he ended up enjoying it a lot. My mother, in the other hand, used her incompetence here like a real man. That's what they do. Mwangangi says, I moved out when I was 17, and my mother always liked to bring up that she moved out when she was 16 and went to work as a seamstress, which is how she met my pops by renting a room for my paternal grandmother. All that was to say, yes, my independent ass mom did her best to make me an independent ass too, which means she taught me how to use a sewing machine by the time I was 9 or 10. I primarily used my skills to sew on any required uniform, patches, and repair favorite socks. Neither of these things has happened for at least 8 years. Well, a lot of sewing machines do be collecting dust. Mm-hmm. You gotta get in there.
And the cost of clothes and everything is so much cheaper now. It's just easy just to go and buy something and buy it versus going through the whole process of doing it yourself. Now, unless it's something that you really love to do.
Yeah, Shein is cheaper than sewing, I guess.
It is particularly if you're sewing clothes, because by the time you buy the pattern, and the most expensive part is stuff.
Yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to do that.
No problem.
The poll, do you sew? 31% yes, 69% no. Nice. And then on Spotify, 79% no, of course. They would never sew. They just buy new shit. And 21% yes. We had comments on the YouTube. Samantha says, I had never heard of Stitch Please, but Lisa definitely gained a new fan. I thoroughly enjoyed her. Please have her back as a guest. Also, she had me tearing up at the end, giving both of y'all well-deserved praise. She did.
Thank you.
It was very nice of her. Mm-hmm. Philip says, I was getting ready to be big mad about the comments made about book readers, but then Rob brought me back and gave us props for not being spoilers like many had become during Thrones. I was ready to go full anime villain and push my glasses up to the bridge of my nose with all the epic background music playing, typing up a storm. Instead, here's a random 5 stars. Thanks, Philip. Mm-hmm. Sadia says,
we're not anti-book readers. We just don't want you spoiling.
I loved and agree with Professor Wolford's comments on your coverage of Game of Thrones and the spinoff. You made it black, you made it beautiful, and you made it better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Saf says, I really enjoyed this episode. I don't sew, but your guest made me want to learn. I could relate to so much of what was said today. Being a black girl from a small white town, a lot of what was said hit home. Y'all need to have her on for your Dragons recap next year, of course, but I love what she had to say today, and I think she messaged well with you two, the two of you again. Wonderful episode. Thank you.
She was fun.
I think the best guests to me are the guests that listen to the show.
Yes.
And I think this with every podcast, like people who listen to your podcast are typically the better guests because they like get the inside jokes. They know where you're coming from. Typically, if they've been listening that long, that means they do like you. A lot of guests now, a lot of booking and stuff, and especially in the bigger white space podcasts, is more like we need to get a get. We got to get a get. We got to get a big name. And it's always some motherfucker that don't listen to the show, don't really know the motherfucker that's making the podcast, don't really care. And you can make fun and have a good time, but It's just, it don't hit the same to me as when you just a podcast has somebody on that like really fucks with the show. White Label American Podcast says, I'm going to get My missus a sewing machine as a holiday present rather than follow up with the newly activated dormant sewing powers that Karen woke up. This king stays kingly and will point at Karen should he receive any petitions. Great episode. Always cool to see and hear Professor Lisa. That's from Raphael.
Aww.
Black Women Stitch, which is Professor Lisa Wilford. She says, thank you so much, Rod and Karen, for your generous hospitality. You see what she did there? So I had such a great time. Valerie says, I was so happy to see Lisa featured today. I had the pleasure of meeting her a couple years ago when she visited the Chicago School of Shoemaking. Great interview. Holy shit, small world.
Chicago School of Shoemaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they do it, it's a school.
Apparently so.
The Q&A. Thank you for being such a cool fan. Miss Barnes says, anytime, love y'all. Renee says, thank you for being cool podcasters. Amani says, thank you for being my favorite podcast. Y'all the best. Lee says, anytime, kissy face emoji. Ignacio says, ayo, dead ass, we love you too. Neil says, thank y'all for having the best podcast out there. Rod and Karen, you two are the best. Bisola says, you're welcome. Thank you for being such a lovely podcast. Or should I say lovely podcast? Kadian says, just reciprocating K-Rod's energy. Raphael says, I've chatted with Lisa on Clubhouse a few times. We talked them Thrones, bonding over our love of the show, of your show. So cool to hear her here. Didn't need Karen to activate my dormant sewing powers. Thank you for the info. And Chris says, you're welcome. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate y'all. Let's get into the final episode of the week, which was Tonely Fans. House of the Dragon recap. Law says, yo, Rod and Karen. Allison has been dutiful in every way and has caused trust issues on more than one front. Knowing Allison wouldn't bend kept Ray from trusting her with the truth. It's probably why Allison's father is keeping sneaky shit from her too. They all keep her out of the loop like that auntie that has a Bible verse for every scene you do. Yeah, I guess I could see that, man. I think so much shit on this show is they're just so good at writing stuff where I can see it from both sides of people's point of view of things as characters. And I think Otto kept Allison out of it partially because of her rigid rule following, but also I think plausible deniability. He's just a schemer, and he wouldn't want her in the way, whether it was right or wrong. And he wouldn't want her to have a say in matters. And in this episode, it really proved it. She had to go steal Aegon because he would not have listened to her if he didn't have to. Right. If she didn't get Aegon first, he would have been like, we just doing it the way I want to do it. Sir Christian's anger issues seem like something they're all used to now. This dude catches body too casually for me, though. Or maybe it's the way he's catching these body. He never seems regretful either. Homie was, so regretful. I don't know about Joffrey because he was going to kill himself. This is one of the reasons that I'm like, I need an explanation of the rules. It's not enough for me for people just to go, he's in the Queen's Guard, and that's enough. It doesn't make sense to me in this world because he was in the King's Guard when he killed Joffrey, and he still was going to go kill himself. And yeah, it just seemed like there's some rules here that they're either not explaining or they're just fast forwarding through. And I'll accept it in the fact that I don't like, it's not like enough to break the show for me, but it's one of those things that I find conveniently, it's almost too cute and too convenient for the plot, where it's like he can kind of do whatever they need him to do in a scene, and we have to treat him like he is the king. Like, oh, he killed that dude. Oh, well, everyone's moving on. And it's just like, I don't know. It seemed like there'd be more, at least a discussion about that. You know, even if it was just like Otto telling Allison to get her dude under control or something like that. You know, it just feels weird. Anyway, homie was prepared to take a child's eye just a few episodes ago and doesn't even wait for commands before he acts now. He smashed that old man's face into a cake.
He smashed that old man face into his work computer. He just clocked in.
Face into a cake that wasn't even there. That's just a big ass marble. Aemon is still an enigma to me. but I'm looking forward to seeing some badassery from him. Auntie Ray made a point that when she crashed in there with that dragon, but that's the kind of thing that makes people take precautions the next time they try you. You only get like one time to catch people off guard like that. She pretty much aimed a wing missile at King Quagmire, and that's not something they'll forget. Hopefully she survives the next plot, but you know it's Game of Thrones. Fun recap as usual. Stay healthy and blessed. Thanks, Law. Sean says, was I surprised that Laris wasn't vanilla? Not really. Was I surprised he was in defeat? Not really. Was it some of the creepiest sexual stuff on House of the Dragon thus far? Kinda. It fits into a pattern of not exactly consensual sex in this series, but you may want to consult Justin on his expert opinion of what makes a foot sexy. I agree that a nice big dragon fight for the finale would be perfect. I hope that they keep Massaria quote unquote dead and save the shadow war between Laris and Massaria for season 2. I don't know if that's a spoiler that there's going to be a shadow war or whatever that means, but I do think if we didn't see nobody, I just assume Massaria is alive. It's just
unless they tell us that she's dead, like they said with old dude to his daddy and brother. They was like, them niggas dead. And he was like, oh, yeah. I guess they ain't coming back. But even still, it don't mean that they might fucking show up season 2 with like, haha, we ain't dead.
Exactly. I don't believe that shit either.
Right.
Motherfucking dude was like, I'm just trying to get out of this child support. Miss Mary Smile says, do you know my closed caption translated Allison's response to Aegon's question, do you even love me, as imbecile both times instead of immensely? Both times I watched it. I don't know. Maybe your caption is wild like that, but I used the HBO Max app and it said immensely. Evie says Laris killed his own father and brother just to jack off to some feet. How disappointing. Ain't it? I thought this nigga was gonna have some wild, crazy ass motivation. Now I'll be like, damn, I see the vision. Nigga jacking off the feet. You could have did that without killing your family. You could have went down to the Silk Street or whatever the fuck and just.
You could have went to the whole house.
Yeah,
that'd have been more. That was like this. I ain't got to actually do no work. All you want to do is see my feet. You just seen everybody's feet.
That's an easy day for them. They're like, oh, this nigga just jack off the feet. I'm about to come up off all the money.
I'm about to get paid.
Oh, Laris, what a disappointment. Miss Barnes says in a creepy ass voice, Lord Laris voice, girl, take off that sheer energy. That was all I heard in my head when I saw Allison kick up her feet. Ugh. Classic RB Lover says, hi Rod and Karen, this episode was good, but for all the reasons you mentioned, I can't say I enjoyed it. Allison came across like a libertarian, a Republican in denial at best, and like those Republicans who claim to support the right things and then vote lockstep with every policy that screams white supremacy. She is down for the evil, but doesn't want to be held accountable for the fallout. I agree. And honestly, I have a lot less respect for that. Like the version of Allison that people seem to have wanted her to be the one they kept writing in, trying to paint her as.
She's not living up to expectations.
I would have liked that. I would have liked that more if she was just like, I'm taking the throne, bitch. Your father shouldn't have fucked me. That's his fault. Now it's mine.
All right.
I would have liked that. I stand a motherfucking side check to Queen story. Okay. You know?
Shout out to Cersei's.
But this shit where she's like, guys, are we really gonna kill him? I'm like, oh, Allison, baby, just get killed. Just get killed then.
Cersei, they'd have been on their way. We'd have came in for episode 10. You'd have caught them at the Dragon's Keep with the bitch on fire.
Laris is a foot fetish and sociopath who lacks any other motivation. Kristen is a psychopath who is inexplicably allowed to literally get away with murder. The show gave Rhaenys a bad bitch moment, then proceeded to have her not be a bad bitch, meaning when the inevitable happens and her granddaughters become collateral damage, it will be just as much on her as the usurpers of Viserys' throne. I was hoping for more. Hopefully the final episode would deliver. Yeah, this felt like everybody coming up to the precipice of making a decision that would be decisive. I mean, not decisive, impactful, and multiple people just pulled up short to me. Like,
I can see that.
I went through it. Otto and them being like, oh, well, I guess if Allison has Aegon, we won't go kill Rhaenyra and them. Stupid decision. Don't matter if she got Aegon or not. Y'all niggas need to kill them. because they are going to come kill you. Rhaenys not saying Dracarys to the whole dais and burning all the motherfuckers up like fucking Patrice O'Neal at that roast. Stupid. You should have fucking killed them all, burned them to flames. We would have had a new niggas in season 2. Let's move on. Just felt like, why even have her do that to not kill them? Allison and her, we gonna take over with a bloodless coup. Ray and Damon are not here for that. Y'all are about to fight a war. I don't know why you think there's some terms that she would accept. There's no terms she's gonna accept except being on the motherfucking throne.
Right.
So everybody came up a little short to me. And yeah, that is a little frustrating. I still love the episode. Like, I'm not shitting on the show as far as like I didn't enjoy it. It just felt like these are decisions these characters are making to keep the show going. This is plot armor shit, you know. Wangangi says she, Big Ray, should have burned all their asses to a crisp and set the throne until Lil Ray came to negotiate. Yep. The poll: should Rhaenyra have killed everyone on stage with her dragon? Yes or no, Karen?
Yeah, I think she should have, because her leaving him alive is going to be a problem. Like you say, and it's one of those things where maybe they could have shot it with, something happened with the dragon, or the dragon missed them or went over their heads or something. But for the fact that, you're that close and you have it screaming and we don't see any flames.
Right.
You didn't even flame the people.
Yeah, I think a simple solution to this, in my opinion, is just have someone shoot her in the arm with an arrow or something. And then she has to escape. And it's just like, oh, I gotta get the fuck out of here. These motherfuckers gonna kill me. And it's just, oh, okay, cool. We get it. She would have killed them, but she couldn't, because she didn't have this whole bullshit of she's a mother. Man, get the fuck. It's a lot. Mothers die every day, B. Don't try that bullshit. Don't even try that bullshit. Anyway, the poll on Anchor, let's look at that number. It is 9% no, so that's even less no's, and 91% yes. Now, these people are powerful people, okay? They got money, so they know about taking power, and they say you burn the motherfucker to a crisp. Comments on the YouTube, we got 10. Victoria says yes, it's Dragon's Day. Mark says the King's Guard is the highest level of knighthood in the realm, so they answer to no one other than the king himself. So it would have to be Aegon or Alicent to have Kristen removed. I understand the idea of removal or whatever. That I hear what y'all saying, but that's like saying the Secret Service can just go kill random people. And to which I say, fuck out of my face. That's ridiculous. Like, the Secret Service can't be like, yeah, we had a party. They shot a foreign dignitary, but they can only answer to the president. like there will still be questions and some level of accounting. This is a weird loophole in the show, and it's the second time it's happened, and they need to at least address it. They haven't even said what you said on the fucking show. That, like, your explanation, which I think is kind of a shitty explanation, but it is an explanation. Your explanation, they didn't even do that on the show. They didn't even have somebody confront them and go, oh, you know what? We can't put them in jail. Only the king can. It could be two background characters. It could be two handmaidens talking to each other like, oh, God, Sir Christian just killed Lord Beesbury. And then you go, I know, but only the king can put him in the dungeon.
Yeah, because me and Roger talked about this, and I will continue to say this. This show is not subtle. And because it's not subtle, anything that they want you to show you, they would show you. So if this was important to them, they would, like you say, a bypass, a through line, overhear somebody talking or something. They're skipping it for a reason. So for those of us that are just watching the show, we're like, hey, dog, you got to give me some explanation, or else this writing makes no sense.
All right. The next person says, I've been looking forward to this. Thank you, Tall Tomboy NYC. Leonard Brother says also, Rod's white worm voice and accent is way better than Shorty on the show. They should hire Rod to ADR dub all her lines from here on. Thank you. Chocolate Lady Cap says, y'all are too funny. Philip says, hey, had Larry CK in the room with the queen. Also, Larry CK, that's good.
Oh, no.
Also, did anyone notice the two men reading outside the set when Kristen and that other twin started scrapping? They got right out the way. Smart. Saf Anime says, this was a good episode. I believe you are going to have to do a different accent for Masaria since she has proven she's nothing like Melania because she does care about the kids. Well, I'm going to keep the accent because it's funny. I do the comedy, you do the political commentaries. They should sell a cloak that says Masaria cares. Do you? They really should.
That's good.
That's a good tie-in. I said last week that Aegon needs to watch his back when it comes to Aemon because Aemon wants that throne. And I can easily see him letting his brother die to get it. I don't think when Otto said Alicent looked so much like her mother, it was kind of conceding. I think he was trying to get her to soften up and listen to him. That was what he did in the past. That show, he got her to accept going to Viserys in the first place. That's how he got her to accept going to Viserys in the first place. He used the memory of her dead mother against her. Yeah, in this context, I didn't find it to feel like she's gonna listen to me because I say you look like your mother. It was her, because it's just the context of the conversation. It was her telling him, this is what we about to do, the end. And then he says, you look like your mother. And then she got up and walked away. If he would have brought it up earlier when he felt like maybe there was some bend in her or some negotiating going on, sure. But I don't know. That felt more like a concession. And I think it's been 20 years of Showtime since he said that shit to get her to go in there with the king. And so I think we're way past the 20-year callback of her being a 15-year-old girl. She's not that 15-year-old girl anymore. She's too old and knows too much now, and it didn't work. That's why she rolled her eyes at him before leaving the room. Lord Larys in the feed. I saw this coming. Most stories set back in times like this usually say how seeing a woman's ankles or below the knees is considered taboo. First of all, I love you, Saf. Unless you read the books, I don't know how you saw that coming. Like everyone who saw the foot fetish jack off scene coming,
I did not see
something
that
is very wrong with you. Because there's nothing on this show that has been any foreshadowing to foot jacking off. I'm sorry. Clear your browser history. I don't know what's in there, but clear your browser. Go incognito in the windows.
And don't let nobody see what you're doing.
You either lying right now or you are off. If you was like, oh yeah, clearly this dude jacks off the feet.
Yeah, I see it all the time. I see the setup.
You can tell the way he's sniffing that flower. That's a foot jack off if I've ever seen.
Come on. And foot fetish 45. That's an old classic scene.
Yeah, I don't know about that, player. I don't know. Maybe you like, yeah. If you seen that shit coming, you a beast.
Come on, you a beast, and you like, and them toes taste good too. I mean, I couldn't help myself.
Yeah. I don't know what that means. What do you mean?
We joking about foot fetishes, and that's the title of a poem, foot porn.
Oh, them toes taste good. I don't know, Gary. I don't know nothing about foot porn.
Me either. I'm making this shit up. I thought we was joking.
We are. You went. I just tried to understand the joke.
Oh, I went too far. My bad.
You went over my head. I just didn't get it.
My bad. I had to explain the joke. My bad.
No, it's fine. I get it now. That's the title of foot porn. Only one I know is Black Meat, White Feet. I've never watched it. I just find it to be the funny name.
That's a hilarious name.
Black Meat. We even got to go interracial on the feet. Damn.
Everything is interracial. I thought you knew.
Porn racist. It's so bad. Porn is so racist. Like, we can't just watch anybody defile these feet. It's got to be a black man to make it extra good. Anyway, so I knew that was going on when she placed her feet on the table and removed the socks. It was like porn to him. Then, after she removed the socks, I think we knew something was up. Maybe then, but yeah, I mean, come on. Then he jacked off. It's not just a foot fetish. It's also that it's Alicent. Right. And so Alicent is this, by the rules, chastity, And I think this is the ultimate scene of, no, you just a pick-me. You a patriarch. You beholden to the whims of these men, and what men want from you is is power over you. And to me, that scene wasn't necessarily just about the foot thing. It was Laris's power over her.
Yeah.
The way they filmed her face turning the other way and looking disgusted. Then with him having a messed up foot takes it to a whole nother level. The ending was badass, and the first thing I thought was Rhaenys coming out the floor with her dragon was all those people are dead. I loved and hated that she didn't light them all up. I do believe that part of the reason she didn't was because she was a mother and she's lost all her kids as far as she knows, and she didn't want to do that to Alicent. Well, she wouldn't have been doing that to Alicent because Alicent would have been toast too. So you wouldn't even have to worry about that. Like, oh, you ain't got to suffer without your kids for more than 0.1 seconds. At least not to have it be by her hands. I can't wait for next week. I do hope there's a rematch between Daemon and Sir Criston Cole. Cole only won last time because Daemon had to start gloating before finishing him and let him regroup. Funny and enjoyable recap as always. Keep up the good work. In Harmon says, I love the recap as usual. Karen said a drug and the sex. Too funny. Yes. Elena Brother says, I think it'll be interesting to see how Alicent moves from here on. Well, hopefully she'll stay on her toes. I think she really does decide to become a major player in the game. This will be the episode that puts that battery in her back. She finally realizes her daddy and all the men around ain't shit. I think that convo with Nis Dog was also very important to her. That said, the ball is in Ray's court now. Can't wait for the finale. Eternal Joy says, so nice to put voices to faces. I'm already nervous for the finale. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And lastly, Dracarys, everyone at home during the last scene was the Q&A question. Miss Barnes says she need to fry them niggas hard and crispy. Alicia says, would it have ended the show series early? Probably yes. Do I wish you would have said it? Absolutely. Yeah, why we need 4 seasons if you could just wrap it up in one? I ain't mad. Aaron says Alice's ankles were looking a little titillating. Okay.
We know what site you be on.
I ain't gonna Aaron apparently is keeping black meat white feet in business.
Come on. We know you on the ankles out us sites.
Ernest says how Alicent gonna be out here showing feet in the racial chat. I doubt the 7 would approve, right? Rhaenys, Bokai says Rhaenys could have turned House of the Dead into a 10-part miniseries. Yes. Raphael says Dracarys for Mama Alicent, Dracarys for the Eye, Dracarys for the Spider Girl, Dracarys for the Ottoman, but I wouldn't Dracarys Aegon. I'll take him to the fighting rings. Him versus all the kids fight. JB says, let them burn. Ignacio says, I wanted her to barbecue the shit out of the entire platform, but Amon had this come get some stance. That boy ain't right. Yeah.
He ain't right.
He was like, I could tame that dragon. Dak2120 says, facts, save your grandchildren, end the war. Yep, absolutely. Every time. I don't know why. My girl Rhaenys got caught slipping. I had a lot of respect for her, but that wasn't the right look. All right, voicemails. We got voicemail from one person, 2 voicemails.
Hello, Rod and Karen. This is Miss Barnes. I have really, truly missed y'all so much. Your girl got promoted at work, and she's been working way too hard as of late. Also, had the 50th birthday party tour.
Hey.
And the tour has nowhere near settled down just yet. But I wanted to say thank you so much for recapping the House of the Mess. I can't even talk this evening. Let's try again. The House of the Mess, aka the House of the Dragon. Thank you so much for recapping it. And also thank you so much for setting those ground rules about feedback, because honestly, when I watch the show, I'm like, I can't wait to hear what Rod and Karen has to say on it. And I get that people have opinions. That's fine and groovy. But sometimes feedback just turns into something that's just not enjoyable for the rest of us, when all we want to do is look at a fantasy show, and then we just want to hear the Black Excellence podcast that is Rod and Karen. That's all I really care to hear. But I just want to say thank you for setting those boundaries. I really, truly do Really, truly do appreciate it. I'm waiting for old girl to cut me off at some point, but I will also say, while I'm listening to the recaps, I'm also walking at the same time. And you can't have me out here wheezing and walking at the same time because it's hilarious. These recaps are everything that I want it to be and then some. But y'all have me out here wheezing. Y'all have me laughing like hell. You have me in tears.
Oh, she got cut off. Last part of the voicemail.
She cuts me off like clockwork, though. That's okay.
She be on it. She got a timer.
I am outside walking and I'm listening to the recaps, I'm wheezing, I'm laughing. My neighbors are looking at me like I'm crazy, but that's okay. It's none of their business. But I will say thank you so much for recapping the House of the Mess. I really do appreciate it. The 50th birthday party tour has winded down. I'm able to listen a little bit more consistently. But again, thank you so much, Rod and Karen. I really greatly appreciate it. Take care. Go Arby's. Love y'all.
Wow. Y'all almost had me. Two things. One, the podcast feedback rules. One of the things I realized as a person that does the podcast and a listener to other podcasts, everything I'm saying is only to make the show better. Mm-hmm. And it's never to be mean or hurt anybody's feelings.
Not a personal attack.
And so once you look at it that way, it's up to people to respect and understand the boundaries that we draw with the show, and that it's all about the quality of the show. And there are going to be some people that take it personal, or there are going to be some people that can't take a joke, because I almost always couch it in like some level of humor so that it, take it a little, so that the medicine goes down easy with a little bit of sugar, But in general, there were times in the past when we kind of let people run the show and things would get out of control, and we were so busy trying to be nice that we were letting people hurt the show. It's like we used to have it where we open the phone lines on Saturday, and sometimes people call in, they want to talk for 10-15 minutes, and some people are funny for 10-15 minutes. Most people are funny for like a minute at most. And at some point, it's just we don't want to look mean, but it's like you're not gonna pick up the context clues. You're never gonna get off the phone. You're never gonna move on. So now it's up to us to tell you to move on. There's people that tend to like figure out how to flow and fit in, and there's some people that want to kind of take over. And then the other part is, one of the main things I realized especially for our TV show recaps, and especially House of the Dragons and Game of Thrones, there's some people that are just into those shows. They don't really fuck with us.
Nope.
They just look at all these different podcasts and TV shows and stuff as just like entertainment and a place for them to get their opinion out. And we're not doing that. We don't get an HBO check. We ain't official nothing. So we don't officially need to do anything for that show. We're doing it for our show.
Right.
We think we do something funny with it that other people aren't able to do in a lot of ways. And so, yeah, letting them write into us to give us a 7-paragraph recap of Game of Thrones with their own jokes and shit. You need to start your own podcast. You need to do your own blog,
that's
TikTok, something like that, because you're just trying to use our platform to do your thing. And most people think it's not better than what we're doing already. So why would we need to do that? We used to do feedback on the recap, and the show started getting longer and longer because people just wanted to hear themselves, and it didn't matter if they was the 17th unoriginal ass got this from some other place. They already made all these nicknames and shit. It didn't matter. They were like, they were like, I just want to hear myself, and that's their right, but it isn't in our prerogative to put that on the show if we don't have to.
No, and our time is precious.
Yep.
And it's one of those things where I'm gonna keep it real. Y'all don't want y'all time wasted, and we don't want our time wasted. And like Roger said, it got to the point where the shows was like 3.5, like, we're being very long. That's why we was like, no, we're gonna put it on a feedback show. We have a feedback show. Let the feedback go there.
Yeah. And it separates the we from the chat, because the people that listen to feedback typically are real fans of the show.
Correct.
Who want to hear about the other episodes and stuff. It gives us a chance to promote those episodes for the people that are just like, I'm only here for House of the Dragon. I guess I'll listen to the feedback episode so I can hear what they say about that. And, hopefully not all, probably a very small percentage, but some people go, oh, they talk about other shit. Oh, wait, they're funny. Oh, wait, they politically active. Oh, okay, this is an informative show. Like, I'll stick around. I'll check them out for other topics. And we know some people that have now been listening for years because they said, hey, I listened to Game of Thrones, and next thing you know, I was fucking listening to y'all every day. So anyway, Dune Dragon emails. Let's get to this. Dune Dragon says, hey, Karen and Rod, the deal he gave Carl made no sense. Laenor's father is the mother-loving Cisco Targaryen, the Jeff Bezos in this bitch. How much coin could he have offered from Darth Day that he couldn't do the same move on his own? Rhaenyra moved to marry the Sith Lord is just pushing Dune further down the line. While she gets a better chance to sit on the throne, the infighting amongst her kids is now guaranteed. I gotta say, Dune Dragon, I don't think it is. Now they got a bigger enemy to fight. They ain't gonna be fighting with each other, and they were gonna marry them kids together. So then the infighting really wasn't guaranteed. Innocent and Innocent and Hightower are Shaq and Cobian at the King's Landing. The episode was brought to you by Master's Tea. When you can't pull out, you can do without Master's Tea.
Oh no!
Karen's take on how Popeye's vision improved after losing the eye killed me. Sir Vaemon's speech was chef's kiss. What do you know about Valerian blood, princess? The translation into High Valerian is your kids are YTE, white. When the king said, let's have some music, my first thought was DJ Khaled saying another one. I wonder which way Sith Lord will bend if it comes down to the strong boys and his own kids. I don't even know who Sith Lord is. Who's Sith Lord? Sith Lord. Is that Damon?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. I wonder which way Sith Lord would bend if it comes down to the strong boys and his own kids. This season has beaten all expectations. OG Game of Thrones is not this good by the end of its first season. Thanks for the free funny, guys. Peace, Dune Dragon. Thanks for Dune Dragon. Jay Fool says, hey, what up, Rod and Karen? With the election coming up, I was curious if you've ever done voting by mail. I live in a liberal ass Los Angeles, and California is automatic vote by mail. You can still vote in person, but every registered voter gets a ballot in the mail. I usually vote in person, but in 2020, I voted by mail, and I've been doing so ever since. I'll usually fill out my mail ballot and then physically drop it in the box at my polling station in California. You get a text when your mail ballot has been counted, which gives you peace of mind. What I love most about voting by mail is that I can literally do my Googles with my ballot right in front of me. I got to be honest, in the past, I mostly did research on the major races, but now everybody gets Googled, especially these goddamn judges. Yeah, I'm like that with the school board.
Yeah, because the school board, they don't decipher. They just give you a fucking list of names.
Mm-hmm. And Republican or Democrat on the school board, even though there are Republicans and Democrats on the school board, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Anyway, there's a really wordy way to say everybody in the Black Outdoors Nation that if voting by mail is an option in your state, it could be worth looking into for future elections. I found it to be the most relaxing and informed way for me to vote. Lastly, I just finished watching the Georgia debate between Warnock and Herschel Walker, and holy fuck, Herschel is so incompetent. He wasn't answering any questions and just attacking Warnock. When he did answer questions, he would often contradict himself with the answer. It was insane. I really hope he loses in a landslide. Peace, J Full. Yeah, we voted by mail before, and it was very easy. You have to request it here in North Carolina, but they send it to you way ahead of time, and everything you said you can Google and all that stuff, and and take your time, and then drop it off in the box at the ballot box, or you can mail it in. And we also have something you can sign up for to make sure that you see your that your vote is counted, and you see the we received it, and it'll take you through the whole process. Like, we received it, we calculated it, we tabulated it, boom, it counts. Thank you for voting in the election. So yep.
I think 2020 they actually just sent it to everybody because of the pandemic, but the next year they was, we went back to normal, like I just said, which is you normally have to request it.
Yep. Jerome says, big ups to the best Rod and Karen. Wondering, did y'all see Nori apology on the Breakfast Club after having Ye on to say that fucked up shit about George Floyd? What he said was fucked up, and that is not why I'm writing in. I'm writing because I found it hilarious that during his apology, Nori said he was going to bring on Sean King and Dr. Umar as a rebuttal to Kanye.
That's funny.
Oh man, I would love to see him cut them off.
Yeah, yes,
because he didn't cut off Kanye, and he thinks that's the real problem. He should have been cutting off. I want to see him try to cut off Dr. Umar. The other funny part,
head might explode.
The other funny part is they asked why did he have Ye on, and Nori says to Charlamagne, a lot of people think you fucked up too. I still fuck with you. I love Nori, but he was so short-sighted during that interview. Keep doing your thing and wish y'all the best. Peace, Ron. I never watched it, and I say that actually as a point of pride. I normally don't say that kind of shit as a point of pride. This time I'm saying it. I am proud of myself for not watching it because I
don't watch any of that.
I don't think there's anything there's nothing of value to be added from anything Kanye is saying right now. And I think it was very foolhardy to give him a 3-hour platform on one of the biggest podcasts, knowing that he is mentally unstable at this point and not taking care of himself, clearly not making any sense. And I found a lot of this shit to be farcical as far as like what people are cherry picking on when they're gonna draw the line. You know, I think it's funny. It's ironic and funny to me that black people are now like, it's a mental health issue. When he was saying anti-black shit, everybody was like, he ain't crazy. That's no excuse. Mental health has nothing to do with it. He went anti-Semitic. White people said now mental health is no excuse. And why aren't we standing up against him? Which means they was cool with the whole time he was saying shit like white lives matter. They didn't find that to be something he should be deplatformed for. Isn't that ironic? Now he says something about Jewish people, and it's like, we got to put a stop to this man. So crazy. But yeah, I was proud of myself for not watching that shit show because even when I see pictures of Kanye, I'm sorry, it makes me deeply sad. And this isn't some Johnny come lately shit. I've been saying this for years. Mm-hmm. I'm not backing down because I think I'm right, and I know I'm honest about how I feel. And I think a lot of black people are in denial about how they really feel, which is that they're hurt,
right? That
this nigga
and disappointed,
stop taking care of his mental health. And I think they want to believe that even if he were on his meds and shit, he would be acting some level of this, and this is just who he is and shit. I don't believe that, and I think it's honestly a nightmare to tell people that are in the midst of a manic episode, this is who you are. Because I think of the people I know who are medicated, who are doing their best to take care of their mental health and dealing with this shit, with the chemical imbalance in your brain that is constantly adjusting to medication. You can't fucking imagine. If you haven't gone through it. So, or at least I shouldn't say you can't imagine. Motherfuckers ain't willing to imagine because it would mean having some level of empathy, and they think empathy is something that is really akin to pity. They're not really empaths. They think they're empaths. They're not. They're empathic about people that remind them of themselves, which is mostly just a form of some type of narcissism. It's a form of like, I love myself so much. So it's one of the reasons when you see people say shit like, I would never cancel another black woman. It's like, yeah, because you're a black woman. You just thinking about yourself. You're not right. Like that's not the badge of honor that you think it is. Guess who else thinks like that? White people, white men. You know what I mean? Men. Like everybody thinks that about the group they're in, which is not some like admirable position to be in. It's not revolutionary, really. It's just I look out for people that look like me. That's kind of the fucking issue with the world, right? And I get the power dynamics and stuff, but when we talk about these things, a lot of times we are talking about power dynamics, which is what is. I'll give you a great example. I'm a straight black man. This happens all the time with straight black men. Look, man, I ain't canceling no brother because the world already out here trying to get us. And you're like, yeah, but that dude is R. Kelly. Like, we ain't got to pull that one out for him, bro. He can go. Listen, man, the world is out to get, they get incarcerated. It's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You know, when it's like when a black woman says something fucking transphobic or something, one of the first things, I don't cancel black women. Well, congratulations. And white people don't cancel J.K. Rowling. It doesn't really, that's not really the flex that people think it is. Now, it's honest, right? What you're really saying is, I have empathy for people with my experience. Fine. But understand that's what's keeping all these people around.
Right.
And I don't think you're wrong. We can and should have empathy for people, even people that do fucked up shit. You know, my hard thing was learning to turn it off for people and being like, that's enough. But I don't say it that's enough out of a anger towards them. I say it out of preservation for myself and for
because it's draining when you're a true empath.
Because they have to do the work themselves. Right. I do it every day. You know, so they got to do the work themselves. And it's like when you have a family member that's a drug addict, you can only do so much. You can't infinitely just be like, suck me dry and kill me. At some point you have to be like, dog, you keep stealing all my stuff out of my house. You can't come over.
Nope.
And that's love. That is love. That is empathy in a lot of cases. And so anyway, all that shit to say, I think Kanye is at a point where ignoring him, cutting him off, not platforming him is the most responsible thing everyone can do. And it is a fucking shame the transactional nature of that industry, that Nori would be like, but at least I'm getting clicks. At least my podcast got more plays this week.
Yeah, because that equals dollars.
I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear you tell me that's your friend then. I don't want to hear you tell me it's about the relationship y'all have. It's about the transaction because you want to have him back again. But it's a transactional relationship. It's not an actual loving and caring relationship. I doubt Nori will put his family member who was having a mental health crisis on his fucking podcast. I doubt that. But this was a flex. And I think it's using that person. It doesn't mean I condone or agree with anything Kanye says or does. It's just, I know when you're using, it's like taking a person off the street that was acting out in ways that we knew were mental health related and being like, I'm gonna put him on the Blackout Tips podcast. We all gonna make fun of him and we're gonna just look at the shocking things that they say and be like, guys, can you believe he said it? And we'll just say that's entertainment. And then later when y'all go, right, that was kind of irresponsible. It seemed like y'all making fun of that dude or just letting him spew shit that was like he came in and said a bunch of racist shit and y'all just sat there and laughed and yucked it up and then got drunk with him. And then I'll be like, oh, yeah, but did you see how many clicks we got? That's reprehensible to me. So I really think, I think it was sad, to be honest. And so anyway, that's mostly how I feel about Kanye. But I've been consistent on that for years now. Some people are starting to catch up, which is ironic. He had to go anti-Semitic before people went, oh, I think he really does have mental health problems. And I think some of this racist shit is related to his mental health stuff. And another reason, I'm sorry to go on this tangent. Another reason, another thing I keep seeing that I'm just gonna flat out say I don't believe. And I think people keep repeating this shit, but I think everybody is wrong. And I don't give a fuck if it's a million people that say it. I think they're wrong. When you go, it's impossible for your mental illness to represent in any level of like racism or any level of ism. I think you're lying. And I think you're lying, but you don't want to come off of the high that we get from judging people.
Right.
You don't want to come off of that. Especially with what we know about social media and the fucking propaganda campaigns that happen all the time that fucking stole an election from us. Right. The idea that your fucking brain cannot be coaxed towards certain conspiratorial beliefs and shit like that, an imbalanced, unregulated, unmedicated brain, it's impossible for somebody who was literally their whole fucking life talking the opposite to go down a fucking rabbit hole in this QAnon ass run up on the Capitol world. Y'all really think mental illness cannot possibly have anything to do with somebody saying the opposite shit they've been saying a whole entire fucking life? I don't believe you believe that. I know that you deep down go, he wasn't acting like this until he fucking got off his meds. Honestly, he was acting the opposite. Nigga had 8 years at least of rap albums about pro-black shit. And then just was like, I'm a god. Also, black people are the problem. It's like, oh, also, I'm not on my meds. You know what, dog? I can't say for a fact that it's not related. I don't give a fuck if it makes it not neat and black and white. It's a gray area. It is a gray area. Maybe some of that shit he would believe. Maybe he wouldn't. We'll never fucking know because he won't take his meds. At the end of the day, that's the only part that I'll go, and that's on him.
That's on him. You're
that's the only part.
For your own mental health.
You gotta take care of your own shit. It's unfortunate, but that's the truth of it. And it's not even a mean thing to say. It's literally, no one else can do it but him. His mama ain't allowed to put him in no fucking conservatorship or no shit. It's just that grown man saying he's not gonna make that decision, and his brain is going, exactly, you a god, Kanye. You don't need to. You a prophet. Okay. Now, why the fuck y'all putting him on y'all airwaves? Now that is disgusting. That's more disgusting than the shit he's saying, that you think you can get a fucking click and some ratings off of it. That disgusts me truly. Kevis writes in, hi Rod, I was creating a demo video for a product line of mine and wondering if any of the people who sent you tracks to your show might be interested in creating a small track that could be played during the demo video. Regards, Kevis, they, them. And I said, well, what's your email address? Because now you're writing into our show to get something for your show or whatever, which I don't mind throwing the alley-oop, but I need to be able to tell people how to do it, you know? Right. So they wrote back, Kevis, which is Keyvis, at Desnique, which is DESNIQUE.com, DESNIQUE.com. That's their email address. So if you want to, if you're a producer or somebody that wants to help this person with a demo video and they need some music or something, you can email them. That's all I can do for you. Lauren writes in, Game of Thrones recap. While Eric and Eric were looking for Aegon, just as one of them started fighting Kristen, an ad for nursing's career started playing. I thought it was a drop until it went on too long and I didn't hear Karen laughing. But it's true. A lot of people are considering a change of career in this show. Nursing in the UPMC healthcare system would be a much safer job. Love the recast. Thank you for continuing with them, Lauren. Yeah, I actually put a break for an ad in that part of the conversation. So that might have been the ad you heard, but who knows what it was for everybody else.
I heard Walmart.
Karen heard Walmart. Mm-hmm. Feedback is his toe jam. Totally fast. It's from Kamisha. Mimi, who says, hi, Rod and Karen. Bruh, the way they let Sir Kristen go around killing folks with the Queen's immunity is ridiculous. What is she, the green wall or the blue wall? Tortoise wall of immunity from prosecution. Low key, since he is under the Queen's protection now and there's no king, it makes sense. But before, why would King Vizzy not fry him up? Because back then he wasn't in hospice mode, and I feel like the Driftmark crew would have demanded it. Why we gotta be slighted all the time by the white man? Questions that will never be answered. As far as Kristen and his oath and Allison and her faith, they give me an obsessive cult MLM vibe. Like they are selling some incense and diet pills. Allison kind of almost got out of the MLM, but they got this one big conference in the set with Tony Roberts, Les Brown, and that low vibrational plate chick, and they pull a good sis back in SMH. She ain't even a top earner no more. Hey, Rod and Amon and Kristen have the hands. Yes, Rod, Amon and Kristen have the hands. It was unclear why Eric and Eric are fighting with the hands. Either way, he was going back to the keep and probably closer to his mom than Otto. Your translation of Allison and Nisi conversation, and yet you will pick me, sent me. I thought the same as Rod when Allison took them shoes and socks off. I was blown, shocked, not appalled. How did they come to this arrangement? What was that convo? that Kanto. She is a queen.
No.
Like, she has got to be considering Niecy's words and how she shucks and jives for men. Oh my God. Oh no, she stooped so low. Baby girl, where's your agency? Stand up, stand up. Yeah, that was interesting to me because like they illustrated exactly what Niecy told her. Like, you a tool for these men, and you can see it on her face. And she was like, "This nigga is jacking off to my feet. What have I become?
What have I become? Cersei would never.
What if it took him a long time too? Like, what if he was like a person that needs like 30 minutes? He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be jacking off all day to these feet." Like, she was like, "Are you done?" He's like, "Turn around. I'm going for a second load." What was a small moment that also took me out was Karen saying Amon is the kind of dude that says present during roll call instead of a simple here. He is that kid all grown up looking for attention and validation for all the hard work and studying. Mm-hmm. He is Allison's kid. Aegon, I don't know where he come from. Queen who never was should have fried them up. But I see your point of mercy for mercy. The whole coup reeks, but her emails. The men in charge didn't have put all this energy in the coup and machinations and the family bonding into a tour for the realm, accepting Ray enough to not have a full-out war and training her to be a good leader. It was always going to be a war. Even if Ray and Allison made nice, there still would be a war because their stands would be like Cardi stands and Nicki stands or Beyonce stands versus Kanye apologists. I don't think it would have been a war if they really were of one accord. I really don't. At least the way this show is written, I mean, they got all the dragons. Who the fuck was gonna fuck with them? The only way it would have been a war is if someone within, other than them, within a level of power would have said nah. So like if they said we coming together as one, and then Aegon was like, I still do want to be king, which he didn't, but I like the way they wrote it was beautiful because it really said if these motherfuckers could have just got along, it would have been fine. And that's something Shakespearean about that. Anyway, I want to see some dragons killing and blowing up in Record Shop. Love the recap as per usual. I swear the music and audio drops are hilarious. Mimi. Thank you, Mimi.
And my thing is, I know this might sound simple. You know who I feel bad for? The people who was ushered in there before they got their morning breakfast.
Right.
And end up dying 30 feet in the bottom of the dragon pit. And they was like, bitch, I didn't want to be here. No way. I didn't even get, I'm dying on an empty stomach.
Yes, I agree.
Maybe that's just me.
No, it's not just you.
But I'm like, these innocent poor people. I got whooped. Y'all. I got, forced to come in here like cattle and then I die.
Rhaenys ain't care about them mothers.
No.
Julie writes in, Karen and Rod, to revisit the lukewarm temperature conversation of my previous feedback. Here's my unsolicited contribution. Our freezing point is 32 degrees is 0 Celsius. Start there. For every 5 degrees that Celsius makes a move, we flex it with that Fahrenheit of 9. American exceptionalism has always got to be flossy, baby, even if it's just an image of degrees higher. This means 5 Celsius equal 32 plus 9 equal 41. Fahrenheit 10 Celsius equal 50, and so on. When Celsius decides to go low in these temperature streets, we subtract 9 from 32. So even at -5°C, we still go high at 23. That's ice cold. You ain't never gonna be ready, Celsius. Now, did you ask for any of this? Of course not. I was honestly.
I'm about to say, all I heard when Roger was reading. Wah, 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 wah. That's all I heard. Wah, 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 wah.
Did I ask for an image of Larys pleasuring himself, not just to Allison, but her daddy's feet as well? No. But thanks to y'all, that's it in my brain as for feet. I was also not ready for. My point is, you never know to what pleasures your feet will eventually travel. When you get there, tell them it was me who tried to help you figure out whether to pack boots or sandals. It's always a good time with you two. Thanks for putting your foot in these dragon waters and for your full body immersion in these many seas you've been traveling for all these years. Much love and peace, Julie.
Thank you.
Jeff says, some fucking with us. Hi, Rod and Karen. October's almost done, so I guess you broke out the pumpkin spice by now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you late, Jeff. Questlove had Stacey Abrams on his podcast the other day. Bro and sis, it was fantastic. I had just finished listening to episode 2619 Stitch Please of YouTube. What an amazing day. Two unbelievably intelligent people doing and informing, not just complaining. Thank you always. Sadly, here's more bullshit. Fuck these guys. Hey, you guys know what this buy me one bullshit means. What do the Constructicons have to do with this? All love and thanks, Jeff in Japan. I don't know. Everything you said in the last paragraph was gibberish to me, but he did send a link to an article I saved for fucking with black people. We'll get to later.
Okay.
But I don't know whatever the Constructicons or I don't know. I missed that. Mandy says, "Hey, dear Rod and Karen. A lot of black people are saying that Ye is getting treated by businesses, how he's getting treated by businesses racist. He has proven that Jews do run everything." What? I just have to say, as a black person, I highly disagree with that. Just because I'm black does not mean excuse me for being an ist or phobic person. That's not equality. That's called wanting privilege to discriminate. This is what people would want to happen if someone was to say similar things about blacks. So you can't have it both ways. Here's the thing. I'm gonna go even further. Nothing's really happening to him in the way that people want to make it seem. They did the same thing with Dave Chappelle. They said, if you talk about the LGBTQ community, this is what they do. And they cherry pick. They pick like one or two things that are typically not from the top down. They're typically from the bottom up, people motivated, right? So typically they pick stuff where it's like, this bar had all of its wait staff say, we don't want to work if Dave Chappelle is going to be the opening act or be the headliner act tonight. And then people go, you see how they do? When you talk about the LGBTQ community, they shut you down, brother. I wish black people could do that. Like, that's how they make it sound. And then you go, you mean Dave Chappelle, the highest paid comedian in the history of the world? Dave Chappelle? Dave, I can film myself talking for 20 minutes and it'll be on Netflix by the end of the night, Dave Chappelle? You mean Dave Chappelle? I don't even have to make jokes anymore. I can just get on here in black and white and talk about my day and you motherfuckers will tell me I'm a genius? Dave Chappelle, like Mark Twain award-winning, he didn't get nothing happened to him. Nothing happened to him. And so this shit with Kanye, what I find interesting is they're going, yeah, they're shutting him down for being anti-Semitic. And it's like, he's been doing as much as he can to get out of these deals for years now. Like, if anything, they've been hesitant because he's supposed to be the black hip hop street voice of the people.
Yeah, he sells shit.
But yeah, like people like Balenciaga finally took him off. And I'm like, yeah, probably because they kind of had to.
Right, not because they wanted
It's
to.
not because they were like, man, the anti-Semitism, man, the Jewish people called and shut them down. It's like, no, they probably were like, this nigga ran up in the office yelling at Adidas and Gap and fucking like he's having manic episodes in offices and yelling at people and threatening to do stuff with his contract and all that. You know what? It's not worth it. It's all bad press. So I don't even think it's like some 6 Jewish people in a room finally pulling the lever on get rid of Kanye West. That's not if that's what it was, and you could just shut down people for being anti-Semitic, you wouldn't have a Candace Owens, you wouldn't have Donald Trump, you wouldn't have a bunch of people that are anti-Semitic. But anyway, also just a random crazy thought question. Pete Davidson is Jewish and Kim and him are no longer dating. Attacking Jewish people with threats of violence is similar to what he did with Pete, and maybe Ye wanted to up the ante by going after a group, since going after Pete alone didn't really work, if that makes sense. I'm gonna be honest with you, Mandy, I haven't followed that shit that close. I don't know.
Me either. Yeah, I haven't been following.
I ain't trying to be dismissive, but just
don't know. And actually, I have to be like this, y'all. Don't care.
I feel like everyone keeps trying to apply some type of logic that makes sense to Kanye's actions. And what I see is a manic person that the only pattern is mania. And that's why he can say some shit to, like, I think I'm surprised that people are still trying to put pattern to his actions when this summer he was saying a bunch of pro-black shit to try to show people to pick his side over Kim Kardashian. And I was surprised to see how many black people that had written him off for years were like, I don't know, he kind of making a point. They do try to make black families look bad with black fathers. And I was like, what are you doing right now?
Right.
When he said slavery was a choice, this man still ain't took his meds since then. Why? What are you doing? Even trying to pretend that this is okay. This will not end back well because he's not going to be consistent. And then you're going to look stupid 3 months from now when he's saying shit like white lives matter. And you go, now, how do you square that with the whole black fatherhood message? Right. This is the stand culture, all this shit where we argue on behalf of celebrities is stupid.
Yes, it is.
Stitch, please, and other feedback. This is from B, who says from Toronto. Hi, Rod and Karen. Hope you all are good. Thank you for another amazing week of stellar content with the episodes in your main feed. 3 guys on appearances plus the Blackout Tips premium shows, which I admit I'm behind on this week. I started subscribing this year and will never go back to basic. Your show with Lisa Woolfork made me so happy. I listen to a lot of podcasts on various subjects, but rarely can you find one, not to mention one episode like so many with just you two or your guests, where I can listen to intelligent people break down history, literature, politics, and pop culture and still get in great jokes. Did you know today in history, 1836, Sam Houston was inaugurated as the first president of the Republic of Texas? The thing the professor was saying about Jefferson and Juneteenth at Carnival Row had me Googling and reading and shit. LOL. Your House of the Dragon recaps are so dope. I feel like I'm in Westerosi barbershop or chilling at Murmur's joint with some barbecue and ale. And cool Valerian jazz in the background as Rob recounts each week's events over at Dim Targaryens. And you all will be in Old Town, though, not Flea Bottom, the ghetto. Anyway, love you guys, love your recaps, love the series. I can't believe season 1 is almost over. In the meantime, I don't think you really take requests, but there's a movie on Netflix I would love to hear your review if you ever do, called RRR. It's like if Quentin Tarantino directed a Crouching Tiger style Black Panther musical dubbed edition. So awesome start to finish. Thanks, Blackout Tips. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, and so this person wrote in last night, and I had to edit this because one, they gave us a prediction to start off with. No predictions. What are you doing? Why would you even do that?
My reaction is angry, sad, and disappointed.
Yes. And now I'm hearing static again.
Oh.
My check. Okay. I think it's just my headphones.
Okay.
You're not hearing it, are you? Yeah. I bought some new headphones. I should have hooked them up already. Anyway. Inside of the royal carriage, when Aegon asked Alicent if she loved him while he was holding that sharp Valerian steel knife in his hand, was a chilling scene for me. I'm telling you, with Alicent slapping the taste out of his mouth and telling him that he's no son of hers after he raped that servant girl, combined with the way he was feeling himself at that coronation, this ain't gonna bode well for her. She had better watch out, because now that he's got that crown on his head, not even she will be safe. He is coming for her. I can see that, honestly. Because I thought of it at first when he picked up that knife, but I was like, that would be crazy, kill his mama on the way to coronation. But
I thought that crossed my mind. I was like, he might not do it now, but it wouldn't be surprising if later on, he be like, you didn't never love me. Stab.
I don't know if it was important enough to mention or if you didn't notice, but when Laris was in Alicent's private chambers, I was shocked that you failed to mention that she turned to the side as Laris was yanking on his meat. That when she turned to the side as Laris was yanking on his meat, that Alicent, the Faith of the Seven Church lady, had stuck her hand beneath her petticoat dress and was masturbating in front of him too. I don't know if the plan was for both of them to reach that orgasmic mountaintop together, but ew. I want to know, how did this relationship, and I use the term loosely, devolve into this? Money and favors owed weren't payment enough for Laris, and felt the need to debase her to get his rocks off. And why don't Daemon and Rhaenyra have their own network of spies of King's Landing using the same secret back corridors that they once used to get in and out of Red Keep to peep what the goings on? The show is leaving too many loose ends, and I need answers. Best House of Dragons recap. Keep up the great work. Rod and Karen, love y'all. Oh, so the reason I didn't mention that is because it didn't happen. So yeah, and I went back and watched it 3 times last night after getting this email, because I said, that's crazy. Like that's crazy that happened and nobody noticed it. That's crazy. And the person was insisting that it happened, because I emailed them back to be like, that didn't happen. And I'm like, yeah, I just watched it and it's not on there. And you think as many people watch this show, no other recap,
That'd have been the topic.
No news article. It wouldn't have trended on Twitter that she was masturbating. As much as people hate Allison, you think you the only one that noticed in the whole world, and we dropped the ball? Nah, man, it didn't happen.
And also, one thing about this show, and I will repeat it, they are not subtle.
Yeah.
If they want to show you something, they will show you. You know, we see people fucking in the background. We've seen people having sex. We've seen people, dicks get chopped off. So if this is something that they wanted to show you, they would show you. They might not like show you it in action, but they would show you something where you'd have seen her skirt go up. You'd have seen her hand move. Like you would have seen something.
It didn't happen. That's crazy that you thought that happened, honestly. And I even went and Googled it to be like Allison masturbating or something, and nothing came up. Except for Larry's, nothing came up because nobody saw that shit.
Of course, because he did masturbate. In fact, they made sure to let us know that's what he did.
Wangangi writes in, explaining my comment from last week. My comment last week was a reply to our international Appia. I'll reprint the comment so here to make it better sense. Appia, the right answer to the question is, of course, Celsius. The quote, a random Reddit user I found, Fahrenheit is useless, backed by my science teacher, mic drop. And who thinks 42 degrees is hot? About everyone in the world, aside from the United States, believes Palau, the Bahamas, and the Cayman Islands. His reply was, where the money resides, where the money resides. So I guess the Cayman Islands, where the money resides. All right, cool. That's the last comment for the show. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Check out Keith and the Girl YouTube tonight because Karen's going to be playing silent trailers tonight, and I think it's going to be on their YouTube channel.
It is. I'm nervous.
And Karen's nervous, so go support our girl. Just go to YouTube, search Keith and the Girl.
So I can get out there and tank, but I'm going to have a good time no matter what.
Yes, Karen still thinks it's about winning the game, which is very difficult to do, but it's really about having fun. It really is. So we'll see who's the funniest tonight. All right, y'all. We'll talk to y'all later. Until then, I love you.
I love you too. Mwah.
Bye, everybody. Have a good one. Stop making up things when you're looking at House of the Dragons.